miscalculation about the traffic and so forth. And thank you for a very kind introduction, which possibly I do not really deserve, but it feels good anyway. Thank you. So it's an honor to be here today. TEDx talk, it's very prestigious. I have 10 minutes. So when Colonel Bera first called me about this, Taposh and I go back about 45 years to when we were neighbors. So when he called me about this and he told me the topic, he said, I have to speak on pluralism and democracy. Food for thought, because who is he asking? He's asking a Bengali bureaucrat. There are very few creatures on earth who are as exclusive as Bengalis. I don't know, but the whole concept of Bengali or Bengali, we, they, what does that have to do with pluralism? Bureaucrat. I have spent 33 years listening to others' opinions and following their orders. As per my code of conduct, I am not supposed to express an opinion publicly. Taposh, what do you think? But, so, since I actually, officially, do not have any opinions, I can still ask some questions. I can quote other people. And I can give you a little codicil that, like the ones you see today, these days before movies, all the characters are fictitious. I can say, if you detect any opinions in the next 8 minutes, none of them are mine. Okay. So when you talk about pluralism, I'm not very comfortable with big words. So pluralism, how do we, let's talk about what the definitions are. So, right. So when you talk about pluralism, it starts very well. It says, a condition or system in which two or more states, groups, principles, sources of authority, etc. coexist. I was fine until we got to sources of authority. I think perhaps we should leave that off the board for now, because again, as an administrator, if you have multiple sources of authority, not a good idea, not a good idea. I'll refer you to the last Marvel movie, the one with Kronos, and you have some idea where that would be headed. Now, a political theory, a system of power sharing among a number of political parties. I'm not going there. Beyond my pay grade. A theory, a system of devolution and autonomy, big words again, for individual bodies in preference to monolithic state control. We put that on the side for the time being. A form of society in which the members of minority groups maintain their independent cultural traditions. Why only the minority groups? The majority should also maintain their traditions. Eventually, we come to something from philosophy. Now, philosophy is something I'm not good at. A theory, a system that recognizes more than one ultimate principle. I don't believe in any ultimate principle. I can't really find that any of these definitions fit my idea of pluralism. Democracy, I am supposed to have a slightly clearer idea. But you see, as a bureaucrat, I see democracy as a process. Democracy is the process whereby everybody has a say in who rules, and it has been said thereafter they have no say at all. Not my opinion. But democracy for us is the process of everybody getting to decide who rules. Can we agree on that? So far, I mean, regardless of where you're looking at, it's common to everybody? Okay, so democracy for us in reality means the electoral process. And a slight digression, but perhaps it's relevant. Regardless of what you say about elections in India, it is the most detailed, comprehensive, and in many ways the fairest process of election you will see anywhere in the world. And I am prepared to debate this ad infinitum on some other occasion. Because, hello, we are, in terms of size, in terms of electorate, we are the world's largest democracy. So yes, the very fact that so many people in so many corners get to vote, that's a step towards my concept of pluralism. You're getting to participate. You can break it down further and disagree, but everybody participates. There is a pluralism in the democracy there. And I am very proud that it is, in our country at least, it is far more systematic and recognizes far more the evil that lies in man. I will go out on a limb. The world's supposedly biggest, most visible democracy, the United States, their electoral processes are naive. They don't lay down the systems. They talk about democracy, which is good, but then the basic process, it's amateurish. And then they make a big fuss about, this is not democracy. Excuse me. You want to know how to run a democracy? Come to us. We wrote the book. So, but apart from the electoral process, what kind of pluralism do we have? I couldn't accept any of those definitions. May I offer an alternative? A much simpler word?
And you are quoting someone else's quote.
None of these are my opinions. But let us say that pluralism is tolerance, acceptance. I will trot out a few chestnuts, but I truly believe in some of them. There's a man called Voltaire who said what I think is in many ways the basis of a pluralist democracy today. He said, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. That, I think, is the essence of pluralism. But it is not enough. Are we agreed? What are the dates of puja? Anybody?
1st to 5th.
Shoshti to Dashami, 1st to 5th of October. A friend of mine posted, I spend a lot of time on social media. A friend of mine posted this lovely story. He said, this little boy was asked, Pujo, when does your puja start? He gave the date of Dadoshi, which is for the 7th. He said, you don't know what you're talking about. So I know. My puja starts when my Baba comes back home. My Baba is at Haki.
Oh. Yeah, that was very nice.
But it's our pluralism when a little boy cannot enjoy puja with the rest of the country. But we can't have puja without the Haki. How do you reconcile these two? Very sad, very sad. But it's the truth. But pluralism, when you accept, pluralism, why would we, see, there's a lot of new age words. I'm a bit of a dinosaur, but I accept that these words are convenient. So this an adverb becomes a verb or an adjective. So now there's this concept of othering. The we and they, that is described in othering. Now, when we talk about pluralism, everybody, woke society, said without any pejorative sense, woke society will accept a lot of things about pluralism. You cannot distinguish, you cannot have any distinctions on the basis of sex, race, caste, creed. Tom Lehrer, of course, took it to the extreme when he said the US Army is the most democratic institution in the world because there is no distinction on the basis of sex, race, caste, creed, or merit. But some other institutions like that, we won't go there. But the point is, this is all very well. But there is one untouchable icon, where you cannot go, subjected to the scrutiny of pluralism, and that is the nation. Nationalism. You cannot afford to be pluralistic. You see, it is the essential part of my identity. Did I choose it? My name, my nationality, my religion, all the things that we go to war about, we didn't choose any of them. They were dumped upon us. And yet they're important enough for us to fight over. Within the country, outside the country, against other countries, in other countries. The general just spoke. My friend Taposh, he spent his entire life defending our country against other countries. Tell me something. Who decided these countries? Who drew the lines on the map? A man called Radcliffe. Have you read Auden's poem about Radcliffe? I will recommend it to you. I have every sympathy for him because he was just another poor bureaucrat. He was given a job with insufficient resources, insufficient time. He was suffering. We must welcome this. These lines. He was a bureaucrat. I sympathize with him. He did a terrible job. Read the story about how Krishnanagar, for the first 3 days after independence, was actually part of East Pakistan. And they say, oops, we made a mistake, put it back here. That's how it works. That is human nature. Those are bureaucratic goof-ups. Wait, go a little farther back. Who was Radcliffe apart from being a bureaucrat? He was the bureaucrat the Brits appointed. Right? Whom did we get independence from? Tell me. Oh, and then we left it to them to decide our national boundaries. Brilliant. So we'll say we and they. This is the line. If you were born on that side, you are my enemy. Who decided? My enemy for 200 years. Hello. Go farther back. So, the one opinion I will state here, and it is controversial, and I have no business stating it in public, but I will because I deeply believe in this. But please note every word. I believe that organized religion is the biggest source of misery in recorded history. And this is my opinion. Organized religion. Religion is a personal issue. The moment you take it into the public sphere, it is taken over by economics and power. That is human nature. Lovely meme. I told you I'm big on social media. I think I'm overshooting my time. 2 more minutes. Now, when you're talking about pluralism, lovely little meme. Suppose we send out messages to space and so on. Suppose somebody comes here and finds that for 2,000 years or rather more, This is quote, this is not my opinion, this is a quote. It says, we've spent these thousands of years killing each other over who has the best imaginary friend. How does it matter? If there is a divinity, do you think that divinity is small enough to distinguish between us? This, unfortunately, is the biggest issue of pluralism in our country. It is a huge issue across the world. But this is not the only issue. I will finish by saying that when I talk of pluralism, it is very easy for me. Because I can afford to be benevolent. I can afford to be big. Yes, you are all my equals. Look at me. I have never had to worry about where my next meal is coming from. I was born a Brahmin. It's a different matter that I did not accept the Janevu. There again, that again is privilege. There are places where my not accepting the Janevu could have led to very serious consequences. I was fortunate I grew up in a family that accepted it. Though first my grandmother and then my mother still tried to persuade me. Hello, I'm on my way to be a senior citizen. Okay, so all the boxes that you tick when you talk about acceptance, privilege, tolerance, I can afford to be tolerant, I've got it all. How tolerant can you be when you don't know whether you'll have a roof over your head tomorrow? How tolerant can you be when you do not know if you can feed your children? That is where pluralism ends. That is where it becomes expedient to divide. Because then the we and they is very simply the haves and the have-nots. And given a choice, everybody wants to be among the haves. Pluralism ends there. There is no pluralism on an empty stomach. So before we talk about these concepts which are very pleasant, and make us feel very good about ourselves, ask yourself, tolerance, acceptance, how far can I take it when I have nothing? I'll just leave you with that question. Thank you.